So Donald Trump speaks to the UN, and he speaks about North Korea. And he speaks about North Korea in terms that I don't know others have spoken. And what he had to say was absolutely right on in terms of the wickedness and the oppressive nature of the North Korean regime. Listen to what President Trump said to the UN.
No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more.
That's the truth. Now, there have been past regimes that have been equally wicked in terms of decimating and destroying their own people, but I don't know of any on the planet today any more wicked than North Korea, any more oppressive than North Korea, and any more keeping people under fear and keeping them away from the rest of the outside world. I mean, if you read 1984 by Orwell, that's what's happening there in North Korea, except in an even more extreme way with emperor worship that's there. And understand that for years now, North Korea has been rated the worst country in the world for a Christian, that it has the worst persecution, specifically government-sponsored persecution of Christians, where whole families can be imprisoned and tortured and suffer terribly because of someone being a believer in the family. So what President Trump had to say was absolutely right and needs to be shouted to the whole world. Let the wickedness of this regime be spoken. There is a suffering people there. But then he said this as well, and here's where it gets a bit more controversial.
The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary.
All right, 3 comments in response to what President Trump had to say and just that clip that we played. Number 1, sometimes you need to speak to someone in those terms. When you're dealing with an unhinged megalomaniac, as far as we can tell, Kim Jong-un would fit in that case, in that class. Yeah, he's got a strong military, but he's playing with fire here. And sometimes you need to tell the bully, don't mess with us. Bullies don't know how to be bullied. Bullies don't know how to respond to bullies. It's happened many a time. You just stand up and say, you're messing with the wrong person. You're messing with the wrong nation. Back off. So I understand that type of speech, and it may be just what's necessary. So some say it's provocatory. You talk like that, it's going to provoke an attack. It could be. I think it's probably the opposite. That's number 1. Number 2, the goal is not to destroy North Korea. That's not the goal. You don't want to wipe out all the people there. Most of the people there are victims of an evil regime. The goal is not to destroy all of North Korea. Again, I just take this as some big talk to say, don't mess with us. If you do, that'll be the end of your nation. So hopefully that's all it is. Hopefully our military, if there is a specific strategy in place for what's going to be coming next, if there is an attack, I'm sure there are various strategies. It is to do our best to take out the regime and to thwart the military and not to make the whole nation suffer. The goal is to liberate North Korea, not destroy North Korea. And then lastly, yeah, that's President Trump calling the leader of North Korea Rocket Man in front of the UN. It's one thing to tweet it. It's another thing to do it. That's who he is. That's how he got where he is in the elections with his names for people. And that's what he's doing now with the leader of North Korea, using the Elton John famous song Rocket Man and a derogatory way of saying you shoot out these rockets. Rocket Man is nothing. So again, clearly part of a strategy to humiliate and talk down to that only Donald Trump could get away with. Whether it's wise or not is for others wiser than me to decide. But right now, he's basically saying, don't pick a fight with us. You are out of your league, boy. That's what the president is saying to the UN.